Have you ever wondered where we as modern humans come from? In this video, we're exploring one of the most fascinating topics in human evolution, the story of Mitochondrial Eve. She is our common ancestor. We can trace our ancestry back to her through our mothers, their mothers, and so on. Mitochondrial Eve is a powerful symbol of our shared human story. She's not the first woman ever, but her legacy lives in every single one of us. She reminds us that despite our apparent differences, we are all connected. We are all part of an unbroken chain of life, stretching back to the dawn of humanity. So who is Mitochondrial Eve? The name comes from a groundbreaking discovery in genetics. In the 1980s, scientists studying human mitochondrial DNA, tiny bits of genetic material passed down only from mother to child, found something extraordinary. They traced all living humans back to a single woman who lived about 150,000 to 200,000 years ago in Africa. She's not the first human or even the only woman alive at the time, but her mitochondrial DNA is the only lineage that survived through all of our mothers. Think of her as a common ancestor for everyone living today. How do we know about Mitochondrial Eve? The answer lies in our cells, in tiny structures called mitochondria. Inside almost every cell in our bodies are hundreds, even thousands of mitochondria. These tiny powerhouses provide the energy our cells need to function. Mitochondria have their own DNA, separate from the DNA found in the nucleus of our cells. This mitochondrial DNA, or mtDNA, has a unique characteristic. It is inherited only from our mothers. This maternal inheritance makes mitochondrial DNA a powerful tool for tracing ancestry. Imagine a mother passing down a precious heirloom to her daughter, who passes it on to her daughter, and so on. This heirloom is like mitochondrial DNA, passed down through generations of women. By analyzing the mutations in mitochondrial DNA over time, scientists can trace the lineage of all humans alive today back to a single woman who lived in Africa around 150,000 years ago. Mitochondrial Eve. It's important to remember that Mitochondrial Eve wasn't the first woman. She was simply the woman from whom all living humans today inherited their mtDNA. This unique inheritance pattern allows us to trace our maternal lineage back through time, uncovering the story of our shared ancestry. Imagine mitochondrial DNA as an ancient scroll passed down through generations. This scroll contains clues about our past, written in the language of genetics. By deciphering these clues, scientists can trace the migration of humans across the globe. Mitochondrial DNA acts like a molecular clock, accumulating small changes or mutations over time. By analyzing these mutations, scientists can estimate how long ago different populations diverged. This analysis reveals that all modern humans can trace their ancestry back to Mitochondrial Eve, who lived in Africa around 150,000 years ago. However, the story doesn't end there. As humans migrated out of Africa, they formed new populations, each with its unique set of mitochondrial DNA mutations. These distinct groups of mitochondrial DNA sequences are called haplogroups. By studying these haplogroups, scientists can track the movements of our ancestors, tracing their footsteps across continents and through time. Each haplogroup represents a branch on our shared family tree, telling a story of migration, adaptation, and survival. About 100,000 years ago, a group of humans carrying a specific set of mitochondrial DNA mutations, known as the L3 haplogroup, ventured out of Africa. This migration marked a pivotal moment in human history. It was the beginning of the spread of our species across the globe. These early explorers faced a challenging world, filled with harsh climates, unfamiliar terrains, and fierce predators, yet they persevered, their descendants eventually reaching every corner of the planet. The L3 haplogroup is particularly important because it gave rise to two other haplogroups, M and N. These haplogroups are found in populations outside Africa. This pattern of inheritance provides strong evidence for the out-of-Africa theory. This theory proposes that modern humans originated in Africa and then dispersed throughout the world. The L3 haplogroup, originating in Africa, likely gave rise to the M and N haplogroups in West Asia, giving rise to all non-African lineages 57 to 75,000 years ago. All non-African clades, including those across Asia, Europe, Oceania and the Americas, can trace their lineages back to the M and N haplogroups, as well as an additional haplogroup known as R. But how do we know what mitochondrial Eve's DNA might have looked like? Enter the Reconstructed Sapiens Reference Sequence, or RSRS. Scientists use this tool to build our mitochondrial family tree. The RSRS is a complete mitochondrial DNA sequence that serves as a standard reference for comparison. Think of the RSRS as a master blueprint of human mitochondrial DNA. By comparing the mitochondrial DNA of individuals or populations to this blueprint, scientists can identify the mutations that make each lineage unique. Just like tracing the branches of a family tree, scientists can use these mutations to map the relationships between different populations. This process allows us to understand when and where different groups diverged in our evolutionary history. The RSRS is a powerful tool for understanding human evolution. It helps us piece together the puzzle of our past, revealing the intricate connections that bind us together as a species. The concept of mitochondrial Eve often leads to misconceptions. It's important to remember that she wasn't the first woman, nor was she the only woman alive at the time. Other women lived alongside her, but their mitochondrial DNA lineages have been lost over time. Imagine a vast forest of family trees, each representing a different lineage. Over time, some trees flourish and branch out, while others wither and die. This is similar to what happened with mitochondrial DNA lineages. Mitochondrial Eve represents the root of our surviving mitochondrial DNA tree, but other trees existed that did not leave direct maternal descendants today. Mitochondrial Eve is a powerful symbol of our shared ancestry. Her story highlights the importance of genetic drift and the random nature of inheritance. Understanding these nuances helps us appreciate the complexity of human evolution and avoid misleading interpretations of the evidence. The story of mitochondrial Eve is more than just a scientific discovery. It's a profound reminder of our interconnectedness. It tells us that despite our differences in appearance, language, or culture, we all share a common ancestor. We are all part of one human family. We are all connected by an unbroken thread of DNA stretching back to the dawn of our species. It reminds us that our individual stories are intertwined, woven together by the threads of our shared ancestry. We are all part of an extraordinary journey that began in Africa thousands of years ago. Our ancestors faced unimaginable challenges, yet they persevered, their legacy passed down through countless generations to us. And if I were to finish on a final thought, the story of mitochondrial Eve is the story of all of us.